let's review Aston Villa's transfer window. So in the comment section down below, what I want you to do is give it a grading. A being absolutely amazing, you can go A star if you want, F being the absolute worst, and I want you to review it overall and take into account what I take into account, or you can sort of like give your own sort of thoughts and version and grading system. So I think as a whole, the transfer window was very difficult for Aston Villa because we'd got PSR. We were hit with PSR straight away. We knew that it was coming, we knew it was bubbling, we knew it was growing in sort of importance of what Aston Villa actually needed to do in this window. And it was, I imagine, very, very difficult, because what we don't want to do is we don't want to go into a season with that looming over us of what potentially might happen, because it's okay saying, oh, we should have just hit took the 6 points and be done with it, but it's not just the 6 points, is it? It's what comes with it. It's the media speculation, it's the questions for the manager, it's the anxiety with the fans. So it was vitally important that this was navigated. We're Aston Villa, you know, we want to play by the rules. We don't want to break any rule whatsoever. We want to play by the rules. We want to be as clean as we possibly can and do things the right way. So I'm so proud of the club that we abided by the rules and we've stuck with it, and we are absolutely clean going into the season. That PSR is done and dusted, in my opinion. So I'm really happy with that. So that was really difficult. So Aston Villa going into this window had probably a really tough decision to make. Who stays, who goes? And for me personally, Martinez is untouchable, Watkins is untouchable, Pau Torres is untouchable, Bailey's untouchable. So when you go down the team and think who possibly can go, I think Douglas Luiz was probably the one that was the best option for us. I think we've possibly may have got the best out of Douglas Luiz. That may be to be seen. We might see it in here at Villa Park in the Champions League, but I think, you know, it was a good age, he'd achieved good things, and we had to box clever here because we needed to get the right amount of money in for him, and unfortunately there was nobody out there that was prepared to bid 60 straight million for Douglas Luiz, so we had to be creative. And I remember at the time we were linked with Weston McKennie and everybody was in uproar about Weston McKennie. And now if you looked at that deal, probably Weston McKennie probably wasn't a bad signing for Villa, because the here and now he would play. So we were able to get Douglas Luiz moved on, plus Baranchea and Ealing Jr. That fee came in, which was an overall package which would have been around a decent amount of what we wanted. So Douglas Luiz had to go, which was very unfortunate. And then we were sort of thinking, right, we're clean, we can just go ahead and sort of spend what we wanted. So the big two that came in for Aston Villa was Onana and Maatsen. Those two signings are absolutely incredible for Aston Villa. Just not only for the actual signing value of what they are, but it's what they bring to Aston Villa. It's something completely different. So with Maatsen, we've got a progressive left-back who bombs on, Champions League player of the tournament on the left-hand side at left-back. So that's absolutely amazing. We're yet to see the best out of Maatsen. Once he gets going, we're really going to start to see that front five for Aston Villa ticking and motoring. So Maatsen, unbelievable. And Onana, a player that has brought a different element to Aston Villa. He's brought a physicality, he's brought a different profile, he's brought an athleticism, he's brought height. But the big thing about those two big signings for Aston Villa are age. The age of our team now has gone down, it's gone a lot lower. So those two signings are absolutely huge, and I couldn't really have asked for two better signings really, because they are young, they are going to bring an a certain amount of creativity and spark and flexibility to our team, but also add in different areas. And you can already see that we're starting to play out from the back a little bit differently. We're playing with a 2 midfield, which is different to last season. Although it was a double pivot last year, it's 2 that are on the same sort of line, covering more ground. Our build-up from the back is going more in central midfield. So we're already starting to see early signs of a tactical evolution with Unai Emery. So those were the 2 big ones. We've got Ross Barkley, who came in for a low fee, a real savvy signing, adds to the depth of our squad. His experience will be key, so I really liked that one. And Jayden on that right-hand side, he's going to be, a really young player that we can really get behind and nurture and grow, and hopefully he can start to get to the same level as Morgan Rogers. We brought in Ealing Jr., we brought in Baranchea, who have gone out on loan, and I think with that Douglas Luiz deal, although the here and now we haven't got the benefit from it, in 2-3 years' time, if their value can increase, we should get good value out of Ealing Jr. and Baranchea. We brought in Dobbin from Everton, who went straight out on loan. That looks like a PSR move. So again, another player who, in a couple of years' time, if his value can increase, we can move on for more money. And we brought in Masquera, who has gone straight out to Real Union on loan. So that's a decent one as well. So I think what I will say about the window as well, which is quite interesting, is that when a club like Brighton do business and sign unknowns, and then when Villa do it, it gets looked upon as a little bit differently. But that's kind of what we're trying to do. We're trying to bring in young players which can grow and can potentially come into the Villa side. And in a couple of years' time, we don't have to sort of go out and say, if we want a defensive midfielder, then maybe Mascara could possibly be that player. So I think that's what the recruitment policy is all about. I think the recruitment policy for Villa now, is completely different. I think over the years we've had here, now, that's what we want, that's what we need, that's what we want to sign. 3 or 4 years down the line, we've never been in that position where there's an actual structure and a policy. And I think football financing is changing, and we have got to be clever, we have got to be smart. Our revenue streams at the minute aren't as high as Chelsea, they aren't as high as Arsenal, they aren't as high as Man United. So we have to do things that are quite clever, and I think sometimes just because the here and now we're not benefiting, it can be seen as a good thing that in a couple of years' time we've got young players that have come in, their value might increase. So I do think that creative element of our window has gone under the radar somewhat for future spending. So the outs, I've already spoke about Luiz. Diaby was a big blow for me because he's a player that I really rate, I really like. I think his numbers last season were brilliant. I know a lot of you have heard me talk about Diaby. I think with Jayden coming in, there's depth there, but there is a question mark there for me on that position. I would have liked an attacker, I would have liked a winger / attacking midfielder to come in. So I do feel like that area is quite short for me. Irabunum has gone to Everton, Chambers has gone, Kellyman went to Chelsea, Moreno on loan, Coutinho on loan, Ealing Jr., Baranchea on loan, Kane Hayden on loan, Barry on loan, Sousa on loan, and as of recording, I'm not sure where Dendoncker is. So I think the outs were okay, but the big problem is some of the outs weren't for a fee. And I think if we look at Villa's recruitment over the years, Dendonkers, that type of player, we can't get rid of them anymore. Chambers, we can't get rid of them because they're towards the back end of their career. They're 28, 29, 30s. That market now, it's gone. Nobody wants those players. So you can see now from Villa, from signing younger players that have resale value, that will bring in profit to the club eventually and money. It just enables us to have different strings to our bow and just different dimensions. So I think overall, my opinion on the window, I'd give it a C. And I'd give it a C because I think even though Onana and Maatsen came in early on, those are 2 absolute huge signings for Villa. The young signings that we made, Jayden was a good signing. You know, if we hadn't have signed Jayden before, and we'd gone out and signed Jayden, a young promising player from the Championship, that deal would have been looked on a little bit differently. I know when we were linked with Rodgers and Rowe, and everyone was saying, we want Rowe. So Jayden's in a similar sort of boat to that. So that's a good signing for me as well. So I think all in all, good signing. I think we've got potential with a few players as well. Bogard, new deal. You have to look at those things in a transfer window as well, because even though a player can sign a new deal, it still has to come out of some pot of money. Emi Martinez signing a brand new deal, absolutely huge. You still have to factor in that as well. His wages will now be increased. I imagine there's like agent fees, signing on fees, etc. Those have to come out of the budget as well. So Martinez is a massive element to that as well. Defensively, what I think happened was we wanted a right back, but we needed Carlos to go, because that's the thing as well. When I'm talking about Dendoncker and I'm talking about Carlos, we can't just sign a player and then just say, well, Carlos can stay and we'll pay his wages. Like, Carlos had to go for us to sign that player, and that it's unfortunate that that's the situation that we're in, but that's just what can happen. You know, you look at our bench from the weekend. You know, if somebody comes in, who off that bench disappears? And I think that's the element of where we're at. And Emery really wanted to just improve the quality. And I think you can never be happy with a transfer window. I think you always want more from a window. And I think if you look at, you know, who we didn't have last year, Ramsey, Buendia, Mings, Kamara, and you look at who's coming back and who will play this season, Tyrone Mings is back training. So we didn't need Longley. We didn't need to make a loan signing, because Longley was brought in for cover for Mings. So Mings is coming back. So you've got Power Mings. You know, Ramsey's there. So great stuff there. Zaniolo, he left, but we don't need him because we've got Philogene in. So, you know, some of those loan signings, some of those signings that weren't available to Villa last year, such as Mings, Ramsey, Buendia, Kamara, they're coming back, and we've got to factor them into the squad eventually as well. So I think overall for me, it's a solid C. I think it could have been better if we'd have signed a right back. But again, let's be clever of where we are. Let's if we couldn't do the deal for Gertruda, we couldn't maybe move Carlos on, let's just wait. Let's wait and get the right signing when's needed. I think some people may think, oh, we're in Champions League, we've not made Champions League signings, but we've got a manager that improves every single player to their level, and players will improve, players will get better, and I'm really happy. I'm really happy with where we are. I think the coaching of Emery, the levels of players that will increase, such as Ramsey, I want to see Buendia back, Jayden more minutes, Barkley in there as well. You know, I think maybe the only question mark is on the right back, but we've got Nedeljkovic, who's up and coming, young, promising. Let's get behind him. We've got Cash, who's still decent. And then we're hearing Emery talking about Bogard going in there, and Bogard being nurtured and worked at to play in that role as well. So for me, it's a solid C, and I think it's okay. So hopefully you've liked this episode at Villa Park. A little bit of a different scenery. I'd love you to get involved in the comment section down below. Drop your thoughts, subscribe to the channel, and up the Villa.